What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Warren. I am a banker here in London and a property investor across the UK. My goal is to live free and independently from property. So I'm looking for an income of £3,000 per month. If that's what you want to, if you want to live free and independently, like and subscribe. So guys, I came across this TikTok, guys. It's a concept called quietly quitting. It's a guy who's a millennial, he's my age, and he's talking about this whole topic of quietly quitting and why working today is especially peak for people who want to buy houses whilst they're young. Let's take a look. Let's get straight into it, guys.
I just got off work and I saw a video of an older gentleman talking about quiet quitting and how like our generation is just lazy and we don't want to work for anything, and how we're never going to be able to go get the brand new house or the new car because we're not putting in the extra work.
His hair is amazing, by the way.
Most of the videos and most of the takes that I've seen are very polarizing. It's one, just the older generation saying that the youth is lazy and whatever, and the younger generation saying that like you don't see the hard work that we're putting in. I think there's validity in both, and I think what older generations are having a really hard time conceptualizing is that we're fucked. I work a minimum wage tip job position, and if I were to ask any of my coworkers that are around my age when they're gonna buy their first home, they're going to laugh at me. They're gonna laugh because they don't know if they're gonna be able to pay rent next month.
Now I know this is the US, but how many of you guys can identify with what this guy's saying right now with the cost of living crisis that's going on right now in this country and in many other countries, guys? It is peak to just afford your day-to-day groceries, your utility bills, your petrol. It's mad. This guy's on point.
Main talking points that my generation uses as well. It was a lot cheaper to buy a house back in the day, and you could work a minimum wage job and put in the extra hours and actually buy a home. I think that
I'm with him there as well, guys. So my mother-in-law, she was telling me a story not so long ago about how her father, he worked at a printing company. I've told this story before, but he worked at a printing company. He was a senior guy, but he wasn't like an executive at a bank or a law firm or a CEO. He worked as a senior person in a printing company, and he was able to support his wife and his 3 children and buy a house on just his wage alone. Let me ask you a question, guys. How many people do you know right now in a regular job, fairly senior position, is able to buy a house, support a wife, because the wife's not working, and 3 kids on just their wage alone? If you know, let me know where they work and where they live, because I'm moving to that job and I'm moving to that place right now where I can do that. But it's crazy these days. You just can't do that anymore.
Biggest point that's going over a lot of people's heads that are complaining about quiet quitting and that this generation doesn't want to work. The reality is many of us that are in my age or a little older, a little younger, are working jobs that do not care about us as people. And I'm going to say that again because I think that's a very, very important distinction that a lot of people are forgetting. I am not going to fucking kill myself over a job that doesn't care about me as a human being. I am not going to put in a 60-hour work week and pull myself up by my bootstraps for a job that does not care about me as a person. Oh, you're being sensitive. Oh, you just want your feelings. No, I'm saying the bare minimum is that if I'm sick or if I have a family emergency, that job's not going to be like, oh, it's your responsibility to find someone to replace you. So many people my age are coming to the realization that we're just fucked.
He's again touched on, I know he started off by talking about property, and I'm with him 100%. It's just hard to get on the property ladder, especially when you consider that real wages have basically stayed stagnant. They haven't grown for a long, long time. I'm talking decades. And the cost of living and the cost of houses especially has gone up. So with each successive generation, it's become harder and harder and harder to buy a property. Now, he's also talking about job satisfaction and how you're treated in the workplace. Guys, how many of you feel like you're valued where you work? Because that's a key thing as well. And it really does have a direct impact on how hard people work and how committed they are to their jobs. I personally, I got burnt out back in 2014 and I quit my job. I was in a really good job in the city. I just quit it and I went traveling for a year because I was just like, it's not worth sacrificing my mental health and my physical health for a job where I'm worked to the bone, where I'm stressed and I don't feel valued. So again, I'm with this guy.
The idea and the notion that we're just able to buy a home in this climate just by putting in some extra hours is outrageous and honestly just so ignorant. 50 years ago, yeah, you could work at fucking McDonald's and put a down payment on a house in your mid-20s. In today's date, that is not possible. Now, let me rephrase that. It is possible. If I work an 80-hour work week, don't go out ever, don't do anything I enjoy, don't take a day off for mental health, for physical health, for whatever, eat ramen noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a couple years, and then maybe I could get approved for a loan, pay off this loan on top of the crippling student loans many of us are in. And then after a couple years of literally killing myself, I can own a home. And you can't just say, oh, people are lazy for not wanting to do that. I'm not even taking into consideration, I don't know if we're going to have a sustainable world in 50 years. I'm asking a genuine question here. Why, as a 22-year-old individual, would I do all of this work to save up for a home in some place that I probably don't want to live in, because chances are I can't afford to live where I want to live, purchase that home, and then not even know if we are going to have a sustainable world to live in 50 years from now? Why would I want to raise kids in a world where...
Okay, he's going a bit off piece with the environmental and sustainable planet stuff, but you get the gist. Where I will add to what he's saying and challenge it a bit, he's pretty much ended with, well, why would I work hard? Based on what he said, which are all valid concerns. Why would I work hard? Now, I don't believe in that. We all still have to work, guys. It's part of being an adult, and I believe we were created to work and contribute to the society that we live in. Now, what I would add to what he's saying, guys, is that work, yes, everybody's got to do their time. Unless you're born, you know, with a silver spoon in your mouth and hundreds of £1,000s in a trust fund, the vast majority of people on the planet are going to have to work. Now, what a lot of people miss, guys, is that if you really want to elevate and extract yourself from that rat race, extract yourself from the job market, what you need to do, guys, is create streams of income, returns outside of your job. Yes, you need to do your time in a job for a while. We've all got to pay our bills, okay? We've all got to survive. But how do you transition from a job, out of a job, to doing what you want, guys? The answer is that you invest in assets. Now, for me, that's property, right? Property is an asset that I invest in outside of work that produces an income for me from rent and from the rise in value over time. But that could also be stocks and shares. It could be starting a business, which is still working. But, you know, working in your own business is different from working in someone else's business. But that really is the formula and has been for hundreds, thousands of years, guys, in terms of how people get rich and they live on their own terms. Not even necessarily getting rich, but being rich enough to live on your own terms. You need to be an owner, okay? You need to own assets that generate an income on their own without you having to necessarily work or work as much. That is the key, guys. That is a formula. That's what I'm doing to transition myself out of work in the medium term. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of this video. Really interesting about quietly quitting and what we're going through as a generation right now. Like and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.